It is Margie Reedy here from the Conscious Wealth Institute, and I am joined today by the fabulous Kurek Ashley. Kurek is one of the most dynamic, in-demand speakers and inspirational teachers of our time. He is a true visionary whose ideas have impacted the lives of millions of people around the world. He ignites the desire in you to want to live your life to the fullest, and he powerfully gives you the tools to do it. Kurek is considered one of the premier experts in personal development, self-discovery, and peak performance. He currently has worked in over 14 countries around the world and gives up to 100 presentations a year. He's a #1 international best-selling author of the book, How Would Love Respond? So welcome, Kurek. It is fabulous to have you here today. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic, Margarita. That introduction's humbling, actually. So.
Well, it's just wonderful to have you here and to be interviewing you today, because I know you have a lot to share with our audience. And you have a workshop coming up, which we'll be talking about later, the Super Successful Author Speaker Coach workshop. But before we get into that, I'd just like to know a bit about your background, what you do, why you do it, how you came to be doing it.
Sure. Well, I guess the title would be as a peak performance success coach. And people ask me, when did I get started, or how did I get started? And I kind of was thinking about it because I went to my high school reunion and told them, because originally I was an actor in Hollywood, and that's all I wanted to do when I was in high school and was on professional stage. Went to Hollywood, did a bunch of movies, and then wound up giving up the movies and started professionally doing what I do now. And people at the reunion said, well, that's kind of weird, Kurek, because, I know you always talked about the movies, but what you do now is really what you were naturally always doing. You always talked about setting goals and following your dreams, and, so it actually is a better fit for you, even though back then that's all you talked about was the movies. And I was thinking, wow, that was kind of weird. And they said, yeah, you even used to give like little workshops in the hallway with high school, with the high school kids, and I was like, wow, that's weird, And then I really realized, Margarita, that it's really not what I do. It's more of who I am, that it's always been my driving force, partly because my life started with, a challenging childhood. I mean, I don't know who didn't have a challenging childhood, but mine was so that I could find a way to find my own success and find my own way out of poverty and find happiness, because it sure seemed like a lot of people had really miserable lives once they left high school, but that was the best part of their life, and it went downhill after that. And I just didn't want that to be for me. And then the more I learned, the more you want to share it with people. And then I found out a way to turn it into a profession.
Fabulous. So since you turned it into a profession, what kinds of things have you been doing? I mean, I know you've had great success as an author and you do presentations all around the world, but I also know that you work with local businesses and you've helped them transform their businesses, and turn over millions of dollars in revenue annually and all that kind of thing. So with the Super Successful Author Speaker Coach workshop, what is your mission with that?
Well, the thing, Margarita, is people see my career, as a speaker, how much I get booked, how many speed engagements I've done, all the big companies that I've worked with, that I do public seminars and we fill the seats. My book comes out within 4 hours, takes #1 on Amazon. That is a coach. Since I've had my coaching program for the last 14 years, I've had a full roster. I get the high-paying, the A-list clients, movie directors, cinematographers, composers, athletes, all this stuff. And, I was just over in Kuwait coaching oil executives from Kuwaiti Petroleum. People, first they think like I'm a special guy, like I was born under a certain zodiac sign, or, that I had a different chromosome than everybody else. Well, the truth was that I really started my business from a place where I was actually homeless in 2 countries at the same time, because the company that brought me to Australia left me stranded here, and I didn't even have enough money to go home to be homeless in. So basically I was homeless in 2 countries. So I started really my business here from that position. I've turned it into a multi-million-dollar business, and I have gold medals at the Olympics with the women's beach volleyball team, and worked with the Broncos, and they won the premiership in Brisbane. Every sports team, every athlete I've worked with, all have won. So they look at me and they say, well, man, I'd love to get my message out there. I have a book in me, or I have a story, or I have an expertise that I'd love to teach, but I don't know how to get going. I don't know how to get booked. I don't know how to get clients. And so I really decided then, you know what, I'm going to teach everything. Because it's sad, because there's that message in people's heart, but they don't actually know how to get out there, and they don't know how to get paid for it. And I understand that because I started at a place where I was doing lots of speaking engagements, but they were all free ones because I had no idea how you got paid for it. And I was kind of coaching people, but I didn't know how you got paid for it. Like, do you charge by the sentence or by the strategy or by the piece of advice, which I actually don't give advice. Once I figured out how to do that, it became very lucrative for me. And so really that's what I'm going to teach people, because it's sad for me to see people having a message they don't know how to get out there or how to get paid for it.
Yeah, there are certainly a lot of people out there who they feel a real drive. They know that they have a bigger purpose to play, but it's being heard. That's a big part of it. And then obviously being paid for what they do is another big part of it. So do you have a system or a framework that you use and that you teach people that they can follow?
Well, it has to be, Margarita, because there's no way that I could get such massive results with so many people if I didn't have a framework. Well, sure, I could probably get some results with some people, but not the hordes of people that I've been working with over the last number of years, lots of years actually. It's because I can't do it for them. I can't treat them like a puppet and do everything for them. So I have to, give them some strategies, work with them, but they have to have really a framework, which is nothing more than a step-by-step formula or a recipe, so to speak, so that they never feel lost again. Because as soon as you feel lost, you kind of look where you are on the framework and you go, well, I'm here, so now I know what's next. And the framework is quite simple. It's really, number one, it's personal development is his first key, and people, well, I don't really want the personal development, I just want the marketing strategies. Well, first, to learn the marketing strategies, that means you're getting knowledge. That's also personal development. But why is it that the information has always been out there and you haven't found it yet or haven't done anything with it yet? Well, that's because you haven't developed into the person who would be learning that information and then actually doing something with it. So it's very specific personal development as well, which means that there's a framework to that first box of the framework, so to speak. The second one is really that you have to learn how to package what you're selling. Because if you can't package it, you can't describe it. And if you can't describe it, you can't market it. And people go, well, I have a message to say. Okay, but even if you're going to speak it, even if you're going to be in a workshop or a speaking engagement, what package do you want to deliver to that audience? What happens with most speakers is they just try to wow them with their brilliance of everything they know, but it's not really specific because they don't really have a framework for what it is that they want the outcome to be that audience walks away with. So it's all in the packaging. It all has to be packaged. Probably is a good example of that if you look at like Finish dishwashing detergent, for your dishwasher. Well, they have the tablets and they have the powder. Okay, well, you'll notice that they come in different packages. And I'm not just talking about the box that they come in. It's the way they market it. Now, you'll notice that the tablets are actually more expensive than the powder, but you're getting less powder. But see, people don't really realize that because the way they package it up. It's a convenience. They make it sound like it's got more power of effectiveness, whatever that is. But that company knows how to market one of those things, and they know how to market the other thing. And that's first because they know how to present it differently. And if you're trying to sell to everybody, you're actually speaking to nobody because not everybody speaks the same language. You can't sell a BMW to a person who wants a Hyundai, and people who want a Hyundai certainly don't want to listen to the BMW sales pitch. It's different, and they talk about different things, right? Then the next piece of the framework is promote. You have to learn how to market. People see me on stage and, signing autographs in my book and all that stuff. They go, oh, man, I'd love to have your job. And I go, well, okay. About 20% of my job is being on stage, and 80% is getting me marketed so I can be on stage. And so, but again, there's specific strategies and a specific formula for how you do that. So it's not just, okay, market, and you go out and take TV ads out. And then the last piece is how do you monetize it and leverage that monetizing of it so that you're not working your life away and have no life left. And people, they think they want to speak all the time and they want to be, super busy, and then they wind up hating it or self-sabotage because that's all they are, is working, and they found out the success that way is actually painful.
Yeah, very good point. And just hearing you put it all together in a system, I know one of my biggest challenges is I've learnt over the years all the stuff, all the marketing strategies, and all the rest of it, but until I sort of slotted it into a system, then nothing really got off the ground. And that's where I'm actually going to your workshop in April, which I'm very excited about. Yes, and I'm really looking forward to really nailing that, honing it down to a fine art, because without a system, nothing works. You can have all the knowledge in the world, all the skill and the talent and the brilliance, and a great message to share with the world, but until you actually put it in a system. And I heard somebody say once that if you want to break free of the system, you've got to have a system.
Right.
Which is absolutely right, because otherwise you're just you're sort of shooting off in all sorts of directions and not actually hitting a target.
Well, and the thing, Margaret, is it's the same model I use with all the businesses I work with. There's a food store up here on the Sunshine Coast where I live, and they've been in business before me meeting them or before me working with them for about 22 years. They were turning over about 2% profit a month, which is atrocious, because some months it wasn't that, and now you're in trouble, and now you're behind, and there was a catch-up thing. And they wanted to grow dynamically and whatever, and so I looked at their business and I just put the model around it. Okay, let me talk about the personal development. And they go, well, we really don't want the personal development, we want the marketing strategies. And I go, you get the personal development first. There's a method to my madness. There's a reason I get such dynamic results with people consistently. Then let's start looking at the system of all this, right? Well, it turns out they didn't really have a lot of system. They had a lot of passion, they had a lot of heart, they had a great team, they had a great product, what they were selling, because it's unique at what they do. A lot of people were quite resistant from the business, that they didn't want the systems in place. Come on, we're not Woolies, we don't want to do that. And I go, oh, but you do want to be Woolies. Maybe not what Woolies sells, but how would you like to have that many stores, make that much profit, and have it all run kind of seamlessly? Like you walk in there and you don't really see, chaos going on in Woolies or Kohl's or whatever. And so, by putting those systems in place, now they're doing $1.2 million a month out of a grocery store.
Wow.
And the profit's up like 10, 12%. And everybody who resisted the systems is actually loving them, because it's made their jobs way easier. And if they go on vacation, it keeps running because the system runs it. And it's the same thing. If we're going to do speaker, author, coach, seminar leader, online marketer, it's just really all the same kind of thing. If you don't have a system, first you got to do it as a business. You can't do it haphazardly and oh God, I just have a message I want to share. Great. You can stand on a soapbox in the middle of the park and do that, but if you want to get paid for it, that's business. And then business is always systems. You got to have the systems. But once it happens, man, when you're out there sharing your message, you actually get to enjoy it because you're not burned out, and you can have a sustained career, not a flash in the pan, because then you get so burned out that you can't go forward, or your mind self-sabotages because it goes, this is just equating the pain to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to hear that the business that you were working with were resistant in the fact that, well, we're not Woolies. But wait a minute, whatever Woolies is doing works. So why wouldn't you do what they're doing?
Well, because, again, people get caught up in, my product's better than their product, or my book's better than that guy's book. You know, so I've had people, for instance, tell me, you know, oh man, I love your workshops way better than Tony Robbins. I go, what does that mean? I can make $30 million a year, you know, like you might enjoy my presentation style different, but that's just like saying I like this ice cream, I like that ice cream. You know, it's just a different flavor. But, you know, you might not like McDonald's food at all, but man, best business model in the world. I mean, how do you get a business that costs you millions of dollars to invest in, and now you hand it over to the most undependable human being on the planet known as a 16-year-old, and it still runs. And they are dependable, but not in one store, in thousands of stores. And I've asked people around the world, hey, has anybody here ever heard of a McDonald's going out of business? And the only thing you hear in the audience is crickets chirping. People go, man, I never really have. That's a great business model. So you might think you make a better hamburger than they do, but they know how to sell a hamburger better. Well, what if you had the great hamburger and learned how to sell it better? And so if you have a great book, you have a great message, you have a, you know, you love coaching, and it's really what you want to do, to be able to get out there and actually really do it and sell it. And if you're going to go, well, I don't want to sell it, I just want to do it. Well, but the library is filled with free books, but I don't see anybody there reading them. So once they invest in themselves, they actually put value on what they're getting, and they'll do something with it. So it goes, you know, it all fits together. If you really want to share your message, it has to be done as a business. And then a business has to be done with systems, including your marketing. But once you do that, I'm going to literally pull the veil off and show you everything I do. And I mean tactical, specific, how to word things. Why are you doing that? What's the psychology behind it? Everything. So you go, I can do that. And then because you'll have that framework, you'll be able to follow it. And if you feel lost, just go back to your notes. Go, okay, I'm here. That's next. Done.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think it's really interesting with heart-centered entrepreneurs, in my experience. They seem to have this conflict between doing what they love and fulfilling their purpose and having that sense of satisfaction and getting paid for it. There seems to be this huge divide. Oh, but I'm not supposed to get paid for it. It's my mission. It's what I'm supposed to do. But how can you get your message out there and leverage it and invest more in your business to reach more people unless you're bringing that income in? It's essential.
Also, yeah, Margarita, the truth is nobody wants to be taught, coached, inspired by somebody who's on the same level as they are. You know, I mean, you want to have a fat person teaching you how to exercise, it doesn't make sense, right? Or a middle-class person teaching you how to be wealthy. So they don't even have to be poor. If they're still on the same level as you, why would I listen to their strategies for wealth creation if they don't have it? That doesn't make any sense. And, you know, when you produce the results, you can do whatever you want with your money. You know, I mean, if you feel, okay, you know, I want to get out there, but also is to get your message out there. It's not, you can't do it for free. I mean, you know, stuff you have to learn about the internet itself. If you're going to do seminars, paying for venues, flying to the, you know, if you're going to do corporate seminars or, you know, printing up books is not cheap. Sure, you can find inexpensive ways of doing it, but somebody's still got to pay for it. And I still say that, you know what, it's in the word, Margaret, it's investment. I-N-V-E-S-T-M-E-N-T. I invest in me. The best investment you make. And when people invest in themselves, they actually do something with it.
Yeah, they don't just appreciate it, they actually value it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you give away free seminar tickets, those people don't show up, or they're in the parking lot smoking. You give away free audio programs. I talk to people a year later. How was it? Oh, you know, I'm just so busy, I didn't get around to it. But you're unemployed, you're sitting at home, what were you so busy with? I mean, can Dr. Phil be on that many times during the day? You got nothing else to do? But that's because they didn't pay for it. They didn't invest in it. So, you know, that was a valuable lesson for me too, Margaret, is that I realized that when I first was doing free things for people, that actually I was being inappropriate in my teachings because, you know, they really aren't investing in it and they don't value it. And so I'm teaching them an inappropriate lesson that you do have to invest in yourself. And the funny thing is, because they value it, and then they're going to go do something with it. Well, that's the ultimate outcome that you want, is that somebody does something with what you have to teach or share.
Yeah, I think nearly every single one of us could just have a look at our computers and what is cramming all the free stuff that we have downloaded and never even opened, because it's like, oh, well, that looks really cool, I'll get to it later. But, you know, it's free. Probably will never happen. We'll never open it because we don't value it. So, and as you said, it's important to value ourselves and what we have to offer and investing in ourselves.
That's it. Yeah, and you know, I mean, Mother Teresa was a multimillionaire. She didn't spend it on herself. I mean, she had no problems telling companies, I need money, and they gave it to her. Okay, and she flew on planes. And people might say, well, maybe they gave her the airline seat for free. Okay, but somebody still had to pay for it. Right? But how do you think she built schools and churches and bought blankets and food and all that stuff? That's money. And sure, let's say people donated it. Okay, somewhere down the line, somebody had to pay for it. The Dalai Lama, you'll notice that he doesn't actually give you his books for free, and he doesn't travel economy, and you know, he still stays in nice hotels, and he's got to have security around him because there's still nutcases out there who would try to kill a peaceful man, which doesn't make sense, but they do it. And people might say, well, you know, he doesn't have to pay for it. Somebody does. So somewhere down the line, it's getting paid for some way, shape, or form. You know, blankets, food, shelter, all that stuff that people need. Somebody's got to pay for it, even if that's through labor. So if you create wealth, it's amazing what you can do with it. And if you don't like the wealth, if you still want to get your message out there and have somebody do with it, they still have to invest. Then take that money and walk it over to a charity and give it to somebody. But if you're really congruent with wanting to get your message out there, people need to invest in it.
And I think it's really interesting that people, they do have this conflict. And when, at the moment, our entire planet is sort of going down the toilet because we have huge multinational companies who don't have a conscience, who just aren't interested in the global, the good of the planet, and they're the ones who are sending us down the tube. So we need so many more people who are interested in conscious business and in making a difference and having their message heard, to step up and be heard by, you know, not just a few people, but thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, so we can turn this ship around. Because I feel, I don't know if I'm getting off track here, but I honestly feel if we don't turn this ship around soon, we are in big trouble.
Well, and Margarita, those companies that you're talking about, they actually don't listen to poor people. But if you've got wealth and you got power and you got a voice, people listen. So do governments, right? So we might not like those multinational companies or what they do. Well, if we don't, the only way to beat them is actually join them at their own game, which is create wealth and power and a voice. And, you know, that's what happens. I mean, you've got to look at even Martin Luther King. You know, he didn't do it by himself, but what a powerful voice that man had to share his message. People still remember those messages today, and it changed the face of America and really the world, one man's power. But again, Martin Luther King, in order to travel from city to city and do all things and get on, that still took money. No, he wasn't driving around in a Rolls Royce or Mercedes because he probably didn't want to. You can if you want to, but wealth doesn't mean you have to be gaudy with it. Doesn't mean you have to be materialistic with it. It does give you the opportunity, though, to get your voice out there in a much bigger way and to help way more people. And because you are successful, you know, people will listen to you more because there's a lot of even spirituality. Why is it that we teach that in order to be spiritual, you got to be poor? I mean, where do we learn that? Well, that's not accurate. And I'll tell you where I learned the difference was I went to see Wayne Dyer speak years and years ago, you know, in L.A. And I was out looking at his products outside of the table, and somebody's standing right next to me, and he goes, "Hey, I heard that guy's pretty good." And I look up, and it's Wayne Dyer. And he goes, "Hey, Kurek, good to see you here." And I'm like, "Hey, Wayne, you know, are you supposed to be on stage soon?" He goes, "Oh, what are they going to do, start without me?" Okay. Very cool. And he goes, I saw you out here, and I just want to come out and say hi, you know. And I forgot what I was saying, but it came down to something that I don't really need the money and blah, blah, blah. Something I said. And he said, hey, Kurek, where did you ever learn that in order to be spiritual, you got to be poor? And he goes, don't even say the Bible. Don't say it, because I know you haven't read it. I have, you haven't. And I was like, oh, well, there goes that one. And he goes, you think I'm spiritual? I said, man, you're Wayne Dyer, of course. You know, of course you're spiritual. He goes, I got 8 kids, Kurek. He goes, how do you think I feed them? And he said, I'm a multi-millionaire. I've sold 25 best-selling books and, you know, this and that. He said, but, you know, I also go around the planet and do good things with that money. But that's a story. And you can't even tell me where your source is. And I was like, wow, he's right, you know, because we have this story that, well, Jesus flipped over the money table or whatever. Okay, but he didn't say you had to be poor, you know, and then how about the rich man will make it through the eye of a needle or whatever, you know, another Bible quote. And basically the eye of riding on a camel. Well, the eye of a needle was actually a city that had small entranceways where you had to get off your camel to ride through it. But being wealthy didn't get you through it. It was, you know, yourself getting through it. But it meant that the money itself won't do it. It's who you are as a person. But see, we have all this misinterpretation that, you know, being successful, you know, is unspiritual. And that's a story.
Yeah. Yeah, and I fully believe that, you know, a lot of us have, and this is where the personal development comes in, a lot of us have these belief systems running about, you know, money is the root of all evil, and if we take too much and somebody else has less, and all this kind of stuff that's running around in our heads. It's absolute BS, but preventing us from actually becoming that kind of person, the person that we need to be. But money, I believe, is actually, it doesn't change the person. It augments more of who they already are. So somebody doesn't become nasty or ignorant or selfish because they have money. They're already that person inside. If somebody's generous and compassionate, and they just get to show more of that.
Yes, and Margarita, the quote isn't money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money.
There you go.
Whenever you hear it quoted, though, that first piece is always edited off. And it's not you. It's just randomly across the board. Everybody wants to bring that one up. Oh, you know, the Bible says the root of all evil is money. And I go, no, it says the love of money, which means greed. And we're not even talking about money. We're talking about wealth. There's a difference. Right? Money might be included in wealth, but there's a lot of people who have money and are still poor because they're scarce. So we're talking about real abundance and wealth. And yes, if money's part of that, then it's got to be a part of that. Money doesn't drive me, though. I'll give you an example. Yesterday I was asked to go to Sydney to work with a company on a team building thing that they needed me to do. And the woman, I have known her for a few years, and she contacted me and she said, look, I work for a nonprofit organization. You know, can you come to a team building thing for our team? You know, what are your rates? And I gave her my rates. She goes, whoa, that's a little over our budget. You know, whoa. Well, the offer she came back with was about a fifth of my normal rate. And I said, great. She's like, what? And I said, money doesn't inspire me. It's not. I do what I do because that's who I am. And even what you offered me, I'm not so far away in life that I forgot that at one time that still used to be really good. Like when I used to make $5 an hour, you know, or work in the movie industry behind the camera carrying heavy equipment all day long, you know, and you get done, and after the tax man bends you over the table, you know, you got like almost nothing left. After, you know, and I go, here I get to go do what I love to do, fly to Sydney, work with some wonderful people, help them change their lives, you know. And so, you know, she goes, wow. You know, I said, money, if you know me, money doesn't inspire me. And it's because it's not important to me, but I do understand the power of wealth and what it can do, is that's why I make so much. See, because I'm not attached to it. I'm not in love with the money. I'm in love with adding value And the byproduct of consistently adding value to more people in a leveraged fashion is called wealth, because that's what it produces.
So with your upcoming workshop, and you're going to reveal everything and give everybody the systems behind how you've gotten where you are today and how you do what you do, and you create all this wealth not just for yourself but for others. So can you give us some specific outcomes that people will have by the time it's a 3-day event? So the specific outcomes that people will have at the end of the 3-day event.
Sure. Well, as an author, if you have a book, how to get it sold, and I mean lots, how to make it a bestseller, and how to sell it from the stage. If you're doing speaking engagements, how do you sell your books, well, first we'll talk about all the products that you can create, ebooks and books and audio programs and DVD programs and online courses, all the coaching programs, all those things. But how do you sell those without sounding like you're selling them? Because people get turned off when you're selling them, right? How do you sell tons of them? How do you drive it to bestseller? If you don't have a book yet, or you don't have any product yet, people go, what about me? Is that okay for me? It's awesome. Why? Because for a lot of people who already have their book done and it's been sitting there, they've lost enthusiasm. So if you don't have a book yet, when I was first writing my book, I was already learning all these things, because when it got ready to come out, I wanted to be at momentum speed so that it would take off right away. Well, within 4 hours of the book being released, it took #1 on Amazon.com, Barnes & Nobles. I hit 15 bestsellers list. Next week, I believe it is, or in 2 weeks, my book will be out as of 5 years now, and my sales are up by over 600% since being a bestseller.
Wow.
And I'd like to tell you it's me, that I'm such a genius, but I've done it with so many other people so they can sell books. As far as a coach goes, how do you put together your program? How do you get the clients? How do you monetize it so you really understand what you do, what you say, why you say it, that attracts people to want to be coached by you? And then as a speaker, how do you get booked for the speaking engagements? But not just any speaking engagements. Choose the top 10 or 20 companies you want to work for, and then how do you go out and market towards those people? Because you can go to a speaking engagement where you make, let's say, $1,000 for the hour, or you can make $10,000 for the hour because it's a bigger company. You pay more. Well, since it's the same hour, why not make the $10,000 instead of just taking any job that comes along? And really, so it's more specific marketing. Now, if you like what I just did yesterday, is if you want to speak for less, you can. But see, I'm also in a position where I can do that. You know, it's not going to really affect my outcome of, my son's not going to go without food. My wife's not going to have to be homeless. So, you can learn how to do that. And then there's a whole package is how do you market those? Because really, when you combine those three together, they fit like a glove. My point being is that if you're an author, the best way to market your book is do speaking engagements. People go, but I don't like speaking engagements. Well, but also if you're going to do videos on your website, whether they're on camera or a screencasting, you better present to people, because the internet these days, people want to get connected to you. They don't, they do business with people they feel connected to. So if you feel uncomfortable with getting in front of a camera or getting in front of the audience, but you want to sell books, I would say is McDonald's is actually hiring, which means get out of your comfort zone, and all those things that you say I can't do, they need to go on your to-do list of what you have to do. But man, when you're on stage, look at how many people you can market to in a leveraged fashion where they're feeling connected to you. They have a chance of really getting to meet you. Then as a speaker, well, having a best-selling book creates profile. You're more in demand because you got profile. Then as a coach, if you're a speaker, great place to market your coaching program, but also if you're an author, it gives you that credibility that you must be the expert you say you are. So it's just, those things really go hand in hand. And like I said, is on the internet these days, people are leery when it's just text and type. But because you can do video these days and you can do interviews like we're doing here, that you can still sell your stuff through this kind of format without sounding like you're selling your stuff, that you have very specific points that are hit in the presentation that people go, I want that. So as an example yesterday, the nonprofit yesterday, obviously I'm not there to do big sales pitch, but I sold a case of books. I think I had like an 85% conversion room for the room without even doing a sale. I never even once said I have it for sale. I had them there, but I didn't say it was for sale. And they went to have a lunch break, and before I could even go grab a sandwich, we were sold out. And I still have to send about 5 or 6 books because I couldn't even carry enough.
That's fantastic.
I do free networking breakfasts where you speak for 30 minutes, and I wound up selling $3,000 in books. I did an hour presentation last year, sold $22,000 in product. And non-paid speaking engagement. And you know, there was multiple speakers there, and a lot of people were trying to sell their stuff. They sold nothing. And people came up and said, you know, I love you and what you do. Not only is your content great, but you weren't trying to hawk and sell stuff to us. But why are more people at your table than anybody? You're selling more than everybody. There's a very specific framework for that, Margarita, and you're going to love it when you learn it, because you're going to be able to get your message out there on a much bigger level, on all levels. And the neat thing about getting paid for it so well is you don't have to go do another job. You can spend your life delivering your message and not be distracted by trying to keep a roof over your head, doing something else. That this is actually where you pay your bills from, and you get the quality of life from it. I love what I do. I love what I do. And I'm grateful that I get paid so well for it. Because
I don't think you have to be Sherlock to figure out that you love what you do. It just comes through in everything that you do anyway. So, and that's what happens.
And the cards and letters, Margarita, from Facebook and emails and actually stuff getting mailed to me, pretty much is every day now. And people on the streets, and you know, as people stop me on airplanes and at airports, and you know, going, oh my God, you know, I love your book and changed my life. And you know, I just sold 150 books in Kuwait. And my publisher was like, how'd you do that? I go, I'm in awe, man, that there's people on the other side of the world, the Middle East, reading my book, and then you get these emails coming back. Oh my God, your book changed my life and saved my marriage, or you know, I went to your workshop, or I saw a video of you on the internet and it did this. That's the most rewarding, fulfilling feeling I can ever express to you, Margarita. And when that happens in mass, like it does with me, it's because I get to share my message. And I don't have to go work another job somewhere else to support myself. It all, you know, circulates itself. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the money's nice, but nothing can come even close to that feeling of satisfaction when you get those messages and emails and, as you said, things in the mail that just get sent to you, and people saying how much you've changed their life. It is a fabulous feeling.
And a lot of those people, Margarita, you don't even get to meet. You know, they brought your book somewhere. You know, I've had people from Italy and UK and States and Canada and all over, you know, Belgium and, like, you know, places I didn't know my book was selling. Going, oh my God, your book changed my life. And, you know, it's so surreal because all of a sudden you are that guy, you are that person that, like a Wayne Dyer or a Tony Robbins or whatever, you know, that you always go, God, I wonder how you get to that position in life. And all of a sudden you're that guy. And, you know, people are commenting on your book. And there it is on the bestsellers list. And, you know, for a mutual friend of mine, we both know Sylvester Stallone really well. And he handed Sly a copy of my book. And Sly was like, wow, Kurek wrote a book? And he said, no, Kurek wrote a #1 international bestseller. I saw it on the top of Amazon and Barnes & Nobles. And Sly was like, that kid, man, last time, you know, when I first met him, he was 18 years old and homeless. God bless him, man. He just doesn't stop. And, you know, he's always had that attitude that he was going to be somebody one day. And he fulfilled that. And, you know, sent Kurek my best. And so Sly sent me a Rocky poster. After knowing him for 25 years, I finally get a Rocky poster, which when you hang out with celebrities, it's one of those things you don't really ask for because it kind of crosses the line, you know. And it says, and it's an original Rocky poster from before the Academy Awards. So it's really valuable. And he wrote in there, he said, to Kurek, you're a real champ, keep punching. Sylvester Stallone. And that bad boy's up on my wall, and it reminds me that, you know, I came from a guy who was homeless to what I produced, and it's the things that I get to do that have been so just amazing, you know. And I'm a real guy, as you know, Margaret. I'm not bigger than life. I don't levitate. You know, I don't glow in the dark. I don't have a special chromosome. It's real. I'm a real guy, and I've been able to have a real fortunate life and share my message. And that's really what I want to do with people, is give people the same opportunity to know how to do it.
Fabulous. So I want to get people to, I want to give you to give people, our listeners, the details of where it is, what's happening, how much it is. But I just want to remind people just to stick around to the end, because, Kurek, I know you have a very special offer going at the moment. I saw this in something that you did yesterday. And is that still current, that special offer? Yep. Okay. So stick around. There's $10,000 worth of gifts that come with this workshop. So, Kurek, just tell us about the details, where it is, when it's happening, how much it is.
It's April 26th through the 28th. It's of this year. It's going to be held at the Novotel Twin Waters on the Sunshine Coast of Australia. The reason I held it there is because I want people to see lifestyle. I don't want to have them on a break or a lunch and go out and see a CBD somewhere, you know, and traffic and parking lots and those things. I figured, hey, let's go out and be wowed, you know. It's not an expensive resort. It's a beautiful resort. And I've spoken there many times before, and the staff over there is awesome, and it's a really classy place. So we're doing it there. The cost is normally $21.97, just about almost $2,200 per person. But I decided first, because you know me, I reward action takers. And I always do, because I always say the people who take action get rewarded by the people who don't. And I always reward action takers. So people who are going to take action, first I'm going to give them $250 off the ticket price, right? Just for taking action in the next couple of weeks. So they go, okay, but if you wait longer, you lose that option. Next is after the workshop, we're going to have 2 teleseminars. One's with a guy named Steve Harrison. He has helped people like Robert Kiyosaki go from self-published to Robert Kiyosaki with Rich Dad Poor Dad. Chicken Soup for the Soul, same thing, with self-published, helped them turn it into an international massive bestseller. Helped launch Dr. Phil when he didn't even have a book, and get it, you know, do all that stuff. So Steve's going to teach you how to get publicity, and he's a master at it. And what a great way to promote yourself. Because if you think about it, Margarita, how if you were on a TV show for, like, let's say 10 minutes being interviewed, how much would that cost you if that was commercial time? Yeah, and people believe you more when you're being interviewed than when you are on a commercial, because on a commercial they know you're advertising. So it's really powerful. Then the other teleseminar is with a guy, Alex Carroll, who's sold over 250,000 copies of his book. He's going to teach you how he did that, and also how do you get on the radio, because he's been very successful with doing 2,500 radio shows, and that's a great way to, again, market yourself. The other thing is that I decided, well, let's help people out so when they go home they have somebody to work with, right? So I decided we're also going to give everybody who comes a buddy ticket. So you get a second full price ticket to bring somebody along with. Wow. Because when you go home, this way you can bounce ideas off it, and you can work together and help each other out, or you can bring your wife or your husband or your partner or whatever. And to make it even easier, is all the meals for you and your guest will be provided by us throughout the workshop. So it's another expense you don't have to worry about. And then, you know, and me, because I'm a crazy guy, I figured, okay, because I really want to see people get it. And whoever shows up, they're going to get it. But I'm not talking to everybody, Margarita, because, you know, the reason I succeed with so many people is I cheat. I choose winners. I have people who are willing to take the action and do what average people won't do. That's why I get the results I do with such people. They have to have that bit about them first. And so to make the pot even sweeter, for the first 25 people who register, I'm going to offer $10,000 in free coaching with me for 6 months after the workshop. Now, it's in a group format, but it's only the group that are at this workshop, so we're going to work on these strategies for 6 months. And I was going to sell that at the workshop, and I decided, you know what, I'm giving it away. And look, if only 10 people register, awesome. They're going to get what 25 could have. If 50, 100, 200 people register, only the first 25 who took action, who got off their duff and picked up the, you know, signed up on the link, or what I was going to say, get on the phone, but actually click the button and register, are going to get $10,000 in coaching from me. And if you check my results with people that I've coached, it's legendary. I mean, I have a client who dreamed about being a movie director, never directed anything. He just finished directing a $27 million movie with Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, 50 Cent, Vanessa Hudgens. One of my clients, he's a cinematographer, just won Best Cinematographer for Tribeca Film Festival. He's now doing a $50 million movie. One of my clients is a composer, couldn't pay his rent. Now he's got a record deal, publishing deal, and a hit song on the last Twilight film.
Wow.
You know, every athlete I've worked with is one. The store up here I was telling you about, now they're making $1.25 million a month. One of my private clients, she's in network marketing, went from not being able to pay her rent, and now she's doing $100,000 a month with her business. Couldn't pay her rent when I first met her. A year later, she's doing $100,000 a month. It's not me, Margarita. It's a system. It's a framework. So come to the workshop, win. Don't, and I'm still going to have a great life because I refuse to sacrifice my happiness for people who don't take action.
Yeah, well, as I said, I'm really excited about being at this workshop with you and really taking it up several notches, not just one or two, but, you know, quite a few. So it's going to be very exciting. For people who want to find out more, just go to consciouswealthinstitute.com/Kurek Ashley, and you will find all the information there that you need. And Sunshine Coast is such a fabulous location. If you are overseas and you've never been to Australia and you want to come, I tell you what, the Sunshine Coast is probably one of the most beautiful places that you could go to. I'm a bit partial because I am a Queenslander myself and I don't live far from the Sunshine Coast, and my husband grew up on the Sunshine Coast. So we're both big fans, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And we have people coming from all over the world already. Singapore, New Zealand, South Australia, West Australia, a couple of people from the States already are signing up. I have some people from Canada now who contact me talking about coming. Make it your vacation. You know, show up. And, you know, I don't know if I can make the pot any sweeter for people to register. And, you know, we're giving them some real bonuses. But also, Margaret, I will make it one step sweeter for everybody. And that is, as you know, as I have a 3-part video training series that you know, I give people, and you know, through you they can get the link and go register and get those 3 free training videos, and you'll get a lot of free content from me. But again, are you going to go do anything with it if you don't invest in it? Yet I'm giving it to you, and it's real stuff. And each one of those videos, my criteria for it is that it's got to be so good that before I release it, I say, you know what, I could have charged for that. That's how good that is, and that's I believe in every one of them. And I just put a 4th one out yesterday for people, or this week, and it really does. It has the framework that we talked about here on the call today, and they'll get it all if they go through the link that you give to them. How's that?
Fantastic. That is brilliant, Kurek. The value is unbelievable. And I think it's so important for people to remember to look at the value, not necessarily the cost, but what is it going to cost you not to do anything? So you could pay, you know, nothing for any training, and then where are you going to be in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time? Whereas you could go and pay this amount, you know, $2,000 for the training, 2,197, is it?
47. Well, 47. Now it's 1947 with the $250 off, with the $250 off.
All right, okay, so it's under $2,000, and this could literally, if you take action on what Kurek's going to teach you, it could literally make you millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars over the next few years. So it's all about how much you want to get your message out there, and yeah, taking action. So go check out that website, consciouswealthinstitute.com/Kurek Ashley, and get Kurek's free training that he has just offered you, which is fantastic. And then think about Sunshine Coast in Australia, and look, make it your vacation, and then claim it on tax. Beg your pardon?
Yeah, just don't wait too long, because you'll miss some of the action taker benefits and bonuses that come along.
Absolutely.
So, take action. And by the way, Margaret, we'll leave one more piece on top of that. It's actually all guaranteed. you come and you participate for 3 days, and if at the end of it you say, nope, I didn't get what I was promised, or no, I didn't feel the value, or whatever, turn in your work booklet, because obviously you don't need that. You didn't get the value out of it. Turn in your name badge and anything that you were given, and go up to any one of my staff. You can do it quietly and wherever, and you'll be issued an instant refund. You don't have to have a dissertation or a big speech or whatever. Because if I didn't serve you and you didn't get the value, I don't want to be paid. It's okay. I'm good with that. I doubt that's going to happen, but there's really no risk. And I will tell you, Margarita, is that I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to still go to other workshops. So when I see that mine's, at the cost it is, that doesn't sound like a lot to me. And whenever I'm at those other workshops, people go, man, you're Kurek Ashley. And I go, yeah, I already knew that. And they go, well, what are you doing? Are you like a guest speaker? No, I'm here participating. And they go, why? How do you think I got where I am in life? It's because in life, either you evolve or you dissolve. You're either growing or you're decaying. I keep growing, and that's how I've gotten where I am in life, and that's how I stay where I am in life and keep expanding what I do, is because I keep learning and I keep investing in myself.
Yeah, so important, so incredibly important. And I can't believe the value that you're offering, because I've done workshops that have cost me more than that, and I have got nothing near what you're giving at your workshop. So that is absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for giving your time to us today. It has been a lot of fun and invaluable. So look forward to seeing you at the workshop, and all our listeners, I look forward to seeing you there as well. Yep. And yeah, come out, and if you recognize myself, come up and say g'day, and love to see you there. So take care, everybody. Take care, Ashley, and I will see you soon on the Sunshine Coast.
Okay, lots of love.
You too.